in regards to South Asian representation. And this is actually an argument that I made in a paper for English class, and I thought I would kind of bring it to the attention of the podcast and put it up for discussion. So let me make this argument real quick. So this is in regards to Never Have I Ever. For those of you that don't know, I've been shoving Never Have I Ever content down your throats for the last week and a half, so I apologize. I promise we are at the end. I recorded the show. I basically exhausted every clip I possibly could on TikTok. So yes, that is, I think we're going to put the Never Have I Ever to rest. And most of you guys know, I mean, who have been watching this regularly, how I feel about Never Have I Ever. I gave a relatively, I felt like, objective and nuanced take on the show. And I gave them some really good improvements, I feel like, that they could use potentially in season 3. And, you know, me being the coach, like, I feel like Coach Changavi could really help them out, you know, with brown representation. But I'm here to say, and I'm here to make this very hot take. And it's not really a hot take, I feel like, because, I mean, this is something that this is something that has, you know, been in my mind, but also, you know, has been talked about amongst various people that I've interacted with, et cetera, et cetera. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle and the Harold and Kumar film series in general is a better representation of South Asians than Never Have I Ever is. So I'm going to repeat that again. I think Harold and Kumar is better representation for South Asian Americans than Never Have I Ever has been for 2 seasons. Okay, let that soak in. For those of you that haven't seen Harold and Kumar, highly recommend. Go watch it. I think you guys won't regret it. It's a great movie. It probably would have been canceled if it was made in 2021, but who cares? It was funny. But here's why I say that. And I don't say this because, like Harold and Kumar has brown boy representation. So like, and it just feels more relatable because he saw the man on screen. No, that's not what I mean. Okay. I gave my arguments as to like why I also think there should be more Desi women. I'm in full support of that. Full support. And I'm in full support of the idea of Never Have I Ever. The execution, let's talk about that. I mean, I talked about that in all my other videos. You can go check that out. Here's my argument for Harold and Kumar. Harold and Kumar, particularly with the character of Kumar, takes someone who's literally the opposite of the Indian stereotype. What is the Indian stereotype in American society? High achieving, doctor, doesn't speak much, terrible with talking to women, etc. They literally made Kumar the absolute opposite of that. Low achieving, stoner, unmotivated, can talk to women okay, but he could talk to girls. It's not like a Raj Koothrappali situation, right? But Kumar is one of the, like, and I think it's like history in stoner film clubs. Kumar is one of the best stoners on who's ever been in a movie. And I mean, I think he has so many relatable aspects to him. Like, as someone who is brown and has enjoyed the puff from time to time, he admitted it. Oh my God. Anuj, this is Shangavi After Dark, baby. The purple lights. This is where all my secrets come out. No, but as someone who has been a part of those experiences, I can firmly say that like Kumar is just like he is kind of like, it's not embracing, but it's like he's doing things and he's experiencing things like smoking weed that like most Indian American boys do. Okay, whether you like it or not. Oh my God, really? Yes, guys, welcome to the club. A lot of Indian American boys smoke weed. It happens. Whatever, it's legal in California. But yeah, I mean, I think, and the airport security scene in Guantanamo Bay is one of the most hilarious things. I feel like that shit is hella relatable. It came out in 2008, the height of like the terrorism fear amongst white people. And that whole thing was like, sir, I'm going to need you to step aside. Like, that whole exchange is so fucking funny. And it's just something that brown people have to go through every day. Of course, given this particular exchange that goes on in Harold and Kumar is much more dramatized and all of this shit than really anything that happens in real life would ever be, but it's funny. And I think the comedic aspect of the whole thing, like, there's also the part where like the white lady is like viewing Kumar and like as like the terrorist, and he's like, ha 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 ha, pew, right? Like, I found that scene is hella funny. And like, oh, it's a bong, not a bomb, right? Like, It's another iconic line from the movie. And I feel like Harold and Kumar is almost anti-breaking these stereotypes. It's not leaning into the fact that like we're nerds. It's like, no, fuck that. We ain't nerds. We could be stoners too. And it's for Asian people too, because Harold does the same shit. He's a stoner. You know, he's supposed to be this high achieving accountant, blah, 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 but he's like, fuck that. And he always leans into the fact that he's a stoner. And there's nothing wrong with being a stoner. I mean, and nothing wrong with like putting low achieving people on as actors and actresses, right? Like I feel like it's just a varied role. It's a different role for Indian Americans. And I feel like the unorthodox roles are what connect to people more. That was what my thesis basically was in my English paper. And the last argument that I want to make as to like why I think Harold and Kumar is just, or like another thing that I want to talk about, particularly with Kumar, is just this whole idea of med school. Like Kumar, like there's this whole subplot in the whole Harold and Kumar series that Kumar is supposed to be going to med school, but he's like denying this. And like the way I argued it was like, I think Kumar just like wants to be low achieving in his life. And his parents wanted him to be this high achieving, like fit into society, blah, blah, blah. But like Kumar's like, fuck that. I don't want to fit into society. I want to like be low achieving, smoke weed, and just hang out. I don't understand what the problem is with that. I genuinely don't. I mean, if you want to be low achieving and you're going to be happy, like, fuck it. Why not? YOLO. You know, I get it. I get why people might be mad. Like, oh, you got to be high achieving. You got to be doing things, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. I'm not that way. I want to make that very clear. But I understand why people relate to Kumar because he's just breaking against the norm, which is something that Never Have I Ever doesn't do. And so that's the argument I wanted to make to you guys, that I think Harold and Kumar is a better piece of representation for Asian Americans as well as South Asian Americans than Never Have I Ever has been for South Asian Americans. So that's the piece and the argument I want to make. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Anyway.